We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everybody to episode 90 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back here on another beautiful winter evening here in Portland, Oregon. I'm so happy to be back, excited for the show, always looking forward to Fridays, and of course joined by two of my very favorite people. Hydra Sheep, how you doing tonight?
I am doing absolutely amazing. This has been an exhausting week, and I'm just so happy to be here. We got some fun stuff to talk about tonight. So thanks, man, and so stoked to do this.
Yeah, me too. I'm sitting here falling out of my chair. I'm so excited. For those of you listening to the audio version. Anyways, welcome back, Electric Sheep City. Always great to hang out. How are you today?
Meowdy, doing pretty well myself. Just hit Legend in Wild this morning, so it's like, hey, woo! Got that double Legend going on again.
Nice.
Living up to those goals we set last week, so that feels pretty good. It was in the 80s in Texas today, so that was fun, and ready to hang out, just talk some Hearthstone with some buddies. So excitement abounds for tonight. Let's go.
That good old Texas winter.
Yeah, but for
80
real
degrees.
Well, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how the show works. We record the podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/BornToBeWildHS. And the video version of the podcast is then posted to YouTube the very next day by our very own Nate Wolf. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you're watching or listening or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
That's my weak attempt at heart hands. It's more like a circle, but I circle you.
I circle you.
Okay, we got a good show coming up for everybody tonight. Before we dive into the meat of the show, did want to say a real quick but very important thank you to Shokunin and the other patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. It really helps us a ton with the algorithms there in getting this content out to other people. The other way to support the show in a non-monetary way is to leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is, as that also helps other people find the show. If you're watching this live on Twitch, we do have some really cool emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to this channel if you'd like. That is a thing that you can do for free if you've got Amazon Prime. Finally, you can join our Patreon for some great bonus content for as little as $1 a month if that is something that you're interested in. Actually working on a couple of different guides for some decks that'll be posted up hopefully soon. So that'll be fun. If you would like to interact with us personally, we would love to have you join our Discord. That is absolutely free. It's a really fun and amazing online community of friends that we've made all across the world, interacting with folks, talking about Wild Hearthstone and TV and pets and real life and all kinds of other stuff. And it's a drama-free zone. We have a lot of fun there. Links to that and everything else can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Again, borntobewildhs.com. Cool. All right, that's it for me. Hydra, what do we got in the news this week?
Well, there's not a lot of news in the quantity of Wild Hearthstone news, but in the quality of Wild Hearthstone news, we did get a tweet today that stated there are going to be nerfs or balance changes for Standard, and Wild.
All right.
And
I'm so excited.
This is going to be coming on the 25th of January, and we will actually know what these nerfs are, the 25th of January, and we'll know on the 20th what these nerfs are going to be in the patch notes. So that's next Thursday.
Ooh, just in time for next week's show.
Interesting, hey? Just before the show. So perfect content, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they did that on purpose.
It looks like, this was introduced in a way that's saying, hey, this was the follow-up tweet of the main tweet that says Giant Battlegrounds update and it's free, which is like, oh, okay, that's fun, I guess. And then this was like the second thing down was like, oh, by the way, we're also going to reveal in these patch notes, you'll see big changes to or balance changes to standard and wild, new mercs, huge duels update, and more. Because they list wild by name, it makes me think that they're not hitting a standard card that will impact wild. Like, no, there's going to be a wild nerf. And then
especially because shortly after Ixar, Dean Ayala, tweeted out a picture, a meme, as it were, with a Hearthstone logo, like over a dude's face who's like coming to get this other dude who's standing there, and the face has been replaced with that of Sorcerer's Apprentice, which would solve so many issues.
Oh my goodness.
Dear Ixar, please don't be trolling.
Right.
Like,
please.
Yeah, I saw Keith Numbers posted like, you better not be baiting us or whatever. But it's been such a long time coming. I feel like a nerf to Sorcerer's Apprentice would fix so many issues. And if I put my dev hat on for 2 seconds, like I think that, like, oh, you're counting, aren't you? It would probably kill 3 birds with 1 stone, right? Sorcerer's Apprentice for ages, right? For those of you who don't know, I'm sure probably everybody knows by now. But reduces the mana cost of cards in your hand, and then you can play a second one, and then you can copy it, and all of a sudden all of your stuff costs 0. And it enables a whole mess of problems. And what we've seen them do in standard with newer cards is say it reduces, but it cannot reduce below 1. And so they don't need to destroy the card. All I have to say is can't reduce below 1, right? And then it solves their problem of the animation skip cheaters who are all playing Ignite Mage. So I'm sure you've all experienced you playing against a mage and they hit you with 75 ignites in 1 turn, kill you from full health and 30 armor. And the rope has finished burning 2 minutes ago, and it's like, what's going on? For those of you who have Zoomer APM and you can actually do this legitimately, like, more power to you, but I struggle with it. And the deck in general is in my opinion not super healthy for the format. And so but this sort of fixes their problem of having to go after all of the people who other people have accused of cheating or whatever. It's like, oh, well, you just can't do this anymore. So yeah, how I played Ignite Mage, yeah, I wanted to learn it because I got tired of losing against it. And so I learned how to play it. I learned how to play it pretty well, but I am just not fast enough to pull off the combo. It's different, I think, with old school Exodia Mage. Number one, it took a lot more work to set up the combo because it required an Emperor Thaurissan tick. This is the non-Quest Mage version, right? But it required an Emperor Thaurissan tick, and you had to have Antonitis and Apprentice and this, that, and the other. And it was like, well, okay. But
way more fair.
Double Apprentice, double Molten Reflection, like, all right.
They could, if they want to ban a card, they could just ban Ice Block. That would solve some problems as well. But I digress. Anyways, what Ignite Mage has managed to do is between tradable cards and tutors, you can draw your whole combo. I've lost as early as turn 4, which is like, it just happens sometimes. It's crazy though, because when if you have the full combo, it's a 5-card combo, and if you have it all, you can just keep drawing Ignite over and over and over. But the animation speed, like, you play it goes to the deck, you draw it, but it's slow, and you really have to be pulling them. And the more cards are in your deck, it's like, well, you risk not always drawing an Ignite, and so when people combo off super early, I might have to play an Elemental Evocation when I don't want to, just because it's going to draw me a fire card. And so when I see people starting to play all these cards, I'm like, oh, cool, they don't have the combo, and they're able to draw it. But it's like, at what point do you run out of time? I mean, the turn limit's only 90 seconds, and the animation for the card is a good what do you think, at least 5 seconds or something, right? And so it's
Something like that. Yeah, it's
It doesn't add up.
No.
yeah.
Five
Well,
plus five plus five plus five, etc. is like 140, not 90.
Yeah.
So anyways, but the deck has, the combo is so easy to pull off that it's kind of become pervasive on the wild ladder, and then everyone's accusing everyone else of cheating, and it's very difficult to tell if they actually are or not. But it just feels unhealthy. And again, this is my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. The deck is interesting. I had fun playing it, and frankly, I lost more than I won, mostly because it was like I couldn't combo off in time, or there are cards like Flare that just don't care about your ice block. So anyways, Dean posting this is like, oh, okay. We'll see. We were kind of speculating pre-show about what the possible nerfs could be, and
what else do we think there could be? Because it's plural, balance changes.
I don't know. What I've seen lately is people calling for more bans in Wild. Now that we kind of talked about last week, one of the prolific changes over the last year was the introduction of bans to the format, and so now people know that it's possible, and so I see people asking for, ban the quest line in Hunter, ban the quest line in Warrior. Like, no, please don't do that. And again, this is my personal opinion. I posted something on Twitter earlier, like, hey, debate me. I don't think that banning the quest lines is what I want to see.
No,
but I understand that they're very powerful decks. Odd Questline Hunter, again, like we talked about it last week, like that deck or that card is what put Hunter back in Wild.
Yeah.
I understand that it's very powerful, but I also think that there's counters. So Hunter has no draw, and so now they rely on tradable cards, or they rely on Cold Light Oracle, which is terrible. If you play a deck like I did last week, this Cthulhu Druid or something, like you just out armor them, or they whiff, like they run out of draw. Like at some point, I've beaten them down from 30 armor, but I've also lost because at some point you just like, cool, I drew even if it's a good card, I drew a twin shot. It's like, okay, hero power, twin shot, hero power, twin shot. Like, cool, now they've got 20 armor or 10 armor instead of 30. It's like and meanwhile, like I'm relying on my top decks here.
Right.
Now, I think that the deck is powerful? Like, absolutely, it's tier 1, hands down. It's great. And where we get into potential danger zone is what happens in future expansions. If Hunter gets a cheap draw card that is odd cost, like, but that's something that Hunter typically hasn't had. So I saw, assuming that the quest line doesn't get banned, I saw some people speculating about a nerf to Rapid Fire. It's the one mana Hunter spell that says deal 1 damage, and it has twin spells,
yeah.
so you could play it twice. Like that card is like the best card in the deck, or one of them.
Its back's got to be sore for carrying
right.
Odd Questline Hunter like through the quest line so quickly, for sure.
Absolutely. So I don't know. Is the deck super strong? Yes. The reason, my rationale for arguing anti-ban is that I feel like there's counters. Are they great counters? No, but you can armor up a lot. I played a lot of it on my Legend client. I saw people playing Skulking Geist, which was infuriating, but like 3/4 of your deck costs 1, and it's like, oh well, I guess I'll just lose then. I mean, you can try to win, but it probably isn't going to happen. And again, it's not a great card, but I've won against them with. I did it last month. My Legend climb last month was with Freeze Shutterwalk Shaman, and that was like the difficult matchup, but you could win it if you play it right. And it was kind of exhilarating for me. I'm looking for armor vendors, and I'm gonna repeat the battle cry from the armor vendor, so I get armored up, and then I'm going to play Boom Pistol Bully so that they can't play Tavish. If you're not familiar with the card, it makes their battle cry cost 5 more the next turn, and so
or you're going to play Loatheb to keep them from being able to get to Tavish. Like there are things that you can play that kind of go around it. as well, for sure.
Yeah, it was great. Like I could boom pistol bully and they couldn't play it, and then I could dirty rat and kill it. It was like, so there's,
Yeah,
it's still tier 1.
absolutely.
I mean, the other one is Pirate Warrior, right? Everyone's saying ban the quest in Pirate Warrior. And again, I definitely think that the deck is tier 1. It's very strong, especially the difference between Standard and Wild is in Wild, there's so many one-cost pirates that you can complete the quest extremely fast. Like, the cards are terrible, but like the Juggernaut is so strong that you finish the quest early and like it swings games. That being said, again, like, I don't feel like it's unwinnable. Where Ignite Mage is like, well, you just lose between Ice Block and infinite damage. You just lose. But I feel like I could out armor them if I saw Pirate Warrior as the odd questline hunter. Like, I was like, cool, free win. I would just and I'm being facetious, but cool. My spells target all their minions. I keep clearing their board over and over. Meanwhile, I complete my quest and then I kill them. I felt like with Freeze Shaman, I would freeze their board. A mistake that a lot of players would make is that they fill up their entire board and I would just freeze it. Now they're board locked. You can't play anything. Or they get 6 minions on the board and then they can't play Rokara without losing the Juggernaut, which is hilarious, by the way. And there's kind of ways around it where I was like, well, it's a winnable matchup. Does it feel bad to lose to? Yeah, but is the solution like you can never play the card again? I don't like that. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to tweaking it somewhat to make it more difficult to complete or something like that. But the deck isn't good enough in Standard for them to, like, they're not going to do a Wild only nerf and not tweak the Standard version. Like, they already said that with the Demon Seed. Like, we don't want to do a change in one format and not the other. Like, that doesn't work for us.
I don't think we're at the power levels of Stealer and Demon Seed where we're going to do a ban. Like, I don't see it as anywhere near that. Yes, we do have a meta where we do have these 2 decks that we're seeing over and over and over again. Most of your matches are against these 2 decks, but it's not at that level. I feel like a tweak is probably exactly what we're going to see.
And at the end of the day, a meta is just telling us what the, top decks are. There's always going to be a top deck, right?
Yeah.
We've only had these 2 quest lines for, this is the 2nd expansion, right? Like, in the grand scheme of Wild, that's not
nothing.
A whole long time. Like, do you remember when we had like Q block for how long, Nate? Like,
well, and things come
and it was
back
powerful for a long time, and even lock and these were powerful decks for a long time, and that's okay. Like, there's always going to be a top deck. Yes, these ones have been top dog for a while, so I do think they need to be nudged, but like the Banhammer I think is a little excessive as well, because there's always going to be something that's the strongest, and right now these are them, and they're a little too strong. Could use a nudge, but they're definitely not a Demon Seed. They're definitely not a Stealer of Souls. Nothing's like as polarized or like played to the same extent that either of those were.
Yeah.
They're played a lot. It's annoying, but not like that. Not like that.
I understood that reference. What's funny in my mind, and I could argue this all day, and I think we want to move along with the show, but in my brain, it's like, okay, well, if these 2 decks go away, Pirate Warrior will always be good in Wild. The deck is very different without the quest. You take out all the crappy pirates and put in the good ones and the cannons or the sky barges and all that stuff. But if these 2 decks primarily go away, what replaces it? And okay, cool. We're going to get Big Priest and we're going to get Reno Lock and Reno Priest and whatever else. And then a Secret Mage, and everyone's going to be mad about those. And it's like, well, I don't know. I'm not saying I have the perfect solution. It's just like, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it, and then you're not going to be happy with that either.
Meta back, that you weren't happy with before, and that'll just be right back here.
Right before we move on, I will say it doesn't just say nerfs. It does say balance changes for Standard and Wild, and maybe there's something in that's just for us that could bring Questline Druid, for example, up, or
patches will get charged.
Hey, there we go.
I don't think that would be. I'm all for it. For one, I'm all for it. He needs to be in charge again, but I don't think that would be the
now is not the time.
Right now is not the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure, what else there would be in terms of nerfs or balance changes rather for wild. Like, I anticipate that when we get rotation, that we'll see some additional balance updates then, whether it's reversions of prior nerfs or additional, nerfs. Personally, I would love to see, and maybe this is a topic for another day, but I would love to see Demon Hunter be actually playable in Wild again, because it's they nerfed everything to the ground to the point that you can't. The deck just is terrible now, or the class rather. So, we'll see.
Please.
The timing of this is good. I mean, I think we should probably move along because they're going to release the patch notes a week from yesterday. So we'll get the patch notes on Thursday. We'll have the show on Friday, and so it'll be the perfect topic for next week, and we can dig into why we think they're right or why they're wrong or what we think is going to happen to the meta or whatever. It'll be interesting. So, come back next week.
That was a little teaser. Nice.
It should be fun. I'm really curious, and post show, I'm sure I will be excited for all the other stuff that's happening with battlegrounds and duels and whatever else. Anyways, movement is exciting. I can tell that Hearthstone's about to do something when I start getting the urge to like buy more packs that I don't need. I'm like, no, you have the cards, like you don't need them. Yeah, but I'm like, oh, it's about time. They're about to release a new portrait or something. I can tell.
Tinies, please. Oh yeah, time for a portrait.
Yeah, I would bet dollars to donuts that we have new cosmetics next when the patch comes out on the 25th. So
I would not be surprised in the slightest.
yeah.
Talk waggle now? Huh?
Hey, yeah, my Hearthstone buying senses are tingling. I was able to resist the urge.
Proud of you.
Thanks. Trying. All right. Well, let's jump into the main topic of this week, which I am excited to talk about. We will be discussing everybody's favorite himbo, Guff Rune Totem, or rather the Druid class this week, and what kind of decks that we've been looking at, two in particular. So one is Cthulhu Druid and the other is Aggro Druid. So like two opposite sides of the same coin here. Very, very different, but same class. So I didn't bring it up earlier, but I did hit Legend this week with Druid.
Oh.
What was crazy is that I was looking through all my stats. Sheep gave me this wonderful spreadsheet that I've been using to track my Legend runs, and I realized number one, which was really kind of crazy. This was my 24th time hitting Legend, which was really cool.
Wow,
Nice.
A lot of times now, which is pretty cool. But the other thing I realized, this is the first time I've ever done it with Druid. I've never done it before.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
well done.
So, thank you. Yeah, this is fun. And so I been playing Cthulhu Druid. I saw other people, like I ran into it a bunch in ladder, and frankly, one of the reasons I started playing it was that I got tired of losing against it. And when I first saw it pop up, I was like, this is just a meme. I started my climb. I wasn't sure what to play, and I was playing odd questline hunter like a true degenerate, and I won quite a bit, but I had so many people playing this deck, they would just armor up out of reach, and I got tired of it. I was like, well, in one turn you can get 24 armor, super easy, and I'd like, okay, I'd clear all it out, I'd use a bunch of spells and hero powers and clear. All right, your 24 armor's gone, and then they get 16 more. I'm like, come on. So I started playing it kind of casually and realized like, this is fun. This is really fun. And then I kept winning with it. And I was like, okay. I reached out to Jordan MG as one of the co-hosts of the People's Champ podcast. He is our listener series champ of season 3, right? We're on season 4 now. And this is, he had been playing this deck quite a bit last month. And I've been playing it a lot. And I was like, hey, what do you think about doing a co-op? I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Can you maybe give me some pointers? And that was really fun. And I learned a lot. And I want to share that with y'all tonight. So I think it was a lot of fun. And also big shout out to Martian Boo, who, if my understanding is correct, was one of the folks who either, discovered this deck or came up with it or was playing it at the very beginning. And
that's where I got the list from originally, was Martian.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I got the list from Tempo Storm.
Popularizing it for sure.
In my collection, it's called, instead of Cthulhu, it's called Kaboo.
Love it.
I miss the old Cthulhu. I used to call the decks like cartoon. And I never thought I thought Cthulhu the Shattered would be a meme, and I think it was always fun, but it was I never thought it was all that viable. And this is built in such a unique way that it is. I thought it was a meme, and it's not. So big shout outs to Martian. Yeah, I have people here saying that he's the creator, which if that's true, which it probably is, then awesome and great work, Martian. I always like to see innovation, and so big shout outs to you. He does have a YouTube on video, a video on YouTube where he plays the deck and explains it as well. And so I'll add that to the show notes if y'all want to watch that. The way that this deck essentially works, and I know Hydra, you played it honestly probably more than me, so jump in as well. But in my experience, this deck almost is like looking to go to fatigue. Like you have to draw almost your entire deck. But the thing is, it can do that, and it can do it super easy. This is basically like a control build with an OTK finisher. For those of you who like classic like combo Druid style, you're just stalling out your opponent. You're gaining a ton of armor, and you're drawing a bunch of cards, and then you're killing them with 30 to 60 damage in one turn, which is super fun. My record was 4 Cthulhu's, which I mean over 2 turns, but being able to get 4 was pretty cool. And so real quickly for the mulligan, what I'd be looking for, let's see here. Oaken Summons. Oaken Summons is amazing.
That's what you want. That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
So you keep Oaken Summons. Fungal Fortunes you keep. It's a 3 mana draw 3. If you draw a minion, it gets discarded, but there's only 2 minions in the entire deck, so your chances of that happening are super low. The other that I would typically keep would be Nature Studies, because you can play it on 1 and it discounts something. There are so many times when I could Nature Studies and it would allow me to play Branching Paths or Nature Studies on 1 into Fungal Fortunes on 2 is amazing. And so you don't necessarily need to play the card that you discover the same turn that you play it, which is great. If like Bioproject is an interesting one. The only time I would keep it is if I drew Oaken Summons, because I could bio on 1, Oaken Summons on 2, which is nice. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for in the mulligan.
You need to be careful with Biology Project, because you can really accidentally let your opponent do lots of things.
Oh gosh,
just play it on 1.
Yeah. Oh, and Guff would be the other one that I would keep. Yeah, always Guff.
Yes, Guff. Because I swear, if I don't keep Guff, he's on the bottom of my deck.
Yeah, yeah. Guff, not keeping Guff or drawing Guff late is backbreaking. Playing Guff on 5 is like backbreaking for your opponent. It's just great. You gain the armor, you draw a card, and then you get the choice every turn. Hey, do I feel like ramping? Do I feel like drawing a card? It's great. I mean, technically, I don't think you have to play Guff until like turn 9 in terms of stacking mana, but the sooner you get it, like the Guff hero power is so much better than the normal Druid hero power. So yeah. This deck is not running Overgrowth. Yeah. One quick thing that I would say, speaking from experience, I do not recommend coining into Oaken Summons, because yeah. So this deck only runs 2 minions. It runs Injured Marauder. It's a 5/10 taunt, but the battle cry is it damages itself. It was to do 6 damage to itself or something like that. And so if you have to play it from hand, you can. It's bad, but the dream scenario is Oaken Summons into Vargoth. Vargoth will play another Oaken Summons, which drops the Injured Marauder with no damage to the health because the battle cry didn't trigger. It's amazing. When that happens, it's like I've had Pirate Warriors just concede. It's wonderful. what you don't want to do is on 3 coin Oaken summons. It pulls Vargoth, who then plays a coin, and you're like, oh, rip.
Yeah. No, been there, done that.
Yeah.
I accidentally solar eclipsed into what's it called? Oaken summons, and I'm like, oh no, because I wanted to see, I could do it twice, right? And then I realized that Vargoth might just play the solar eclipse again, but I totally got lucky and got the Oaken summons, and I would like my opponent like. They knew that I had screwed up. I emoted the second I played Solar Eclipse. I emoted first. I was like, "Oops," and then I played the Oaken summons, and then high rolled the Oaken summons off the Vargoth.
Lucky.
Not punished. Let's go.
Yeah.
Not punished at all. I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
So I've seen people lately experimenting with Plate Breaker. I saw I think Burnt is one of the best Druid players in the world. I used to get crap for hitting Legend with Druid every month when the class was terrible. I thought it was hilarious. And Burnt hit Legend this month with a Linecracker Druid, which included Mechathune at the top end as like an alternate win con in the event of a mirror match, which I thought was interesting. I played one game of it and I won, and I was like, okay, 100% win rate, I'm done with this. The thing that I don't like about it, I always felt like there was anti-synergy between Linecracker decks, because you need Linecracker and it's running Fungal Fortune. So that's when 3 mana draw 3 if you draw a minion, discover it. And I'm like trying to dig through my deck and I need this minion, and then like I've had it happen to me where like I draw a Linecracker, discard, draw a Linecracker, discard. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just concede then. I mean, it's awesome after you have your cards and you don't care what you draw. It's great. But what I love about this deck in particular is, like, I can rip Fungal Fortunes on turn 2 or on turn 3, and I don't, like, I just want it to draw the cards. And if it discards an Injured Marauder, then I don't care all that much. And even if it discards Vargoth, it's like, well, that's kind of a bummer. But, like, okay, it doesn't make me lose now.
No.
So right. You want to rip it as soon as possible. A couple quick notes, so this runs Jasper Spellstone, which every time you gain armor, it increases to 4 damage and then 6. That's handy. It's got Lunar Eclipse. It does 3 damage and reduces the next spell you play this turn by 1. That's nice. I just use those for spot removal to kind of, you stall. So you clean up as needed, use them for high priority targets. I wouldn't waste one on a 1/1 or whatever, because you gain so much armor. The ones that I think you want to be a little bit more judicious with, Moonlit Guidance is the card that lets you discover a card in your deck. And if you play it, you draw it. Like, you can play it if you need to, if you're in dire straits, your hand is terrible and you need to find something, like, cool, rip it. But like otherwise, it's part of the awesome win con there, so I would save it. And same thing with Solar Eclipse. Like, if you can greed out the Solar Eclipse, just save it. I'll get back to those in a second. Bog Beam is in the deck. It's a 3 mana, deal 3 damage, but if you've got 7 mana or more, it costs 0, which is really nice. Ferocious Howl is there, partially for armor, partially to draw cards, which is great. Branching Paths is an amazing card, and also very versatile. What I saw in my climb is, you can use it for what you need it for. If I'm facing an Odd Hunter, if I'm facing a Pirate Warrior, like, I'll just armor up twice. Hey, gain 12. If I'm sort of in dire straits, I can Solar Eclipse, Branching Paths, and get 24 armor. If it's a slower deck and I don't need it, then I'll draw cards. I was playing a mirror match against another Druid who had a bunch of armor and wasn't able, for whatever reason, to remove the garbage that I had on board. I think it was a Vargoth and a Marauder, and I had Solar Eclipsed into one of the body of Cthulhu, so it was a 6/6 with taunt, and they weren't able to remove it, and so I Solar Eclipse Branching Paths and just chose the attack and was able to OTK them just with the attack.
Wow.
It was like,
nice.
Your entire board gains attack.
+4 with
It was great. I
or
did
just
like
+4 attack, not health, obviously. But.
So it's versatile. You gain attack, you can draw cards, you can gain armor, and again, being on the other side of it, especially people complaining about Odd Hunter, it was infuriating for me to have somebody gain 24 armor in one turn. I'm like, well, that sucks. I guess I'll just quit. I mean, or I'll try to let's play this out, but I feel like I'm wasting my time here.
Right.
And so, that's tricky. In terms of removal, and again, this deck wants to just stall your opponent out. Remove threats, stall, draw your whole deck. It's got Poison Seeds, which, for those of you not familiar, it kills the whole board and turns them all into 2/2 tree ants. There's pros and cons. I faced a lot of Pirate Warrior, and I felt bad ripping a Poison Seeds on a 1/1 because now it turns it into a 2/2. But if they've got a bunch of 1/1s in a Rokara or a bunch of 1/1s and something giant, it's like, well, okay, it's worth it. The dream is they've got a full board and you've got 10 plus man and you rip Poison Seeds into Spreading Plague, and now not only do you kill their whole board, but now you've got a whole board of 1/5s with taunt that they just can't deal with, and it stalls. It does what the deck wants to do. Way back when, Hearthstone had sped up the animation on Spreading Plague, and they've since reverted it and it's to like super slow. And so when you play it, it's like, all right, it takes 30 seconds to fill up the whole board with these spiders.
I didn't realize that they had reverted it until I started playing this deck again. Because I'm just watching and going like, I thought this was faster. Why is it so slow? But I guess they brought it back, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think whenever they released Mercenaries, they had to go back to an older version of the client because they were planning on releasing it earlier. They had in between then and when Mercenaries came out, buffed the speed to where it would just be quicker. And so that's one of the things that was kind of a casualty of Mercenaries being pushed back.
I see.
If I recall correctly. It's been a while.
It's probably right.
Really drives home as they slowly spawn. Like, you're, to the Pirate Warrior, you're screwed. You're screwed. You're screwed. You're
kind
screwed.
of thematic that it takes so long, isn't it?
Right. It's hilarious. So Biology Project is a weird card. I recommend not ripping it on one unless you've got, you can play an Oaken Summons on turn 2. Otherwise, ideally, and again, this is my advice, take it with a grain of salt, but a lot of times what we would do is wait until, if you've got Guff in play, you go up to 20 mana. I'll rip it on turn 9 where they're going to have 10 mana next turn anyways, and they're capped out. Like, I don't care, but it puts me up past that. And so at that point, like, it doesn't matter. But what I don't want to do, especially seeing so many Ignite mages or APM mages, is like the last thing I want to do is give them extra mana because then they're going to kill me. I had an APM mage kill me from full health plus 20 armor or something because they had discounted their entire deck, and then they were able to they got 4 Flamewakers on board and 2 apprentices, and it was like, and a whole giant handful of 0-cost cards, and then an evocation with a bunch more 0-cost cards. And it was like, I didn't think they could do it. It was one of my final bosses, actually. I thought we were going to pull it off, and close. But it was crazy, at the OTK from 40 plus. So yeah, it's crazy. So at the top end, here's how this works. Cthulhu the Shattered at the start of the game is broken into 4 parts. I don't know what they're all called, but I love what they say. I will break your body. It's awesome. So I've got one that the Body of Cthulhu creates a 6/6 with taunt. The Eye of Cthulhu shoots off 7 damage worth of little eye beams, and that's been fun. One of them does 3 damage AoE to the entire board, which it hits your stuff too, but okay. But that combined with Poison Seeds is pretty nice, by the way. And then the last one,
it's just destroy a minion, right?
It's destroy a minion. It is destroy a minion, and that's nice as well. The ultimate greed play is to stall your opponent long enough to where you get the 4 pieces of Cthulhu played, and you've got a Cthulhu in your deck, and then you can play Solar Eclipse, which says your next spell triggers twice, and then you play Moonlit Guidance, which says discover a card, which means a copy of a card from your deck. And cool, like I play that, I get 2 Cthulhu's, And then if I've got the other ones, like I play it again, and now I've got 4 Cthunes. And at that point, like if I've got 20 mana, I can play 2 Cthunes in one turn, which will do 60 damage to my opponent, which will not only clear their whole board, but it will kill them many times over, right? And so it's it's really fun. You have to be careful. I had misplayed. I don't remember if it was my final boss or maybe the second to last, but Dirty Rat is a card, and a lot of people, it's difficult to play well, but there's a lot of cards in Shaman right now, in these freeze Shaman and Shudderwalk Shaman variants that will replay prior battle cries. And so you can play a Dirty Rat on a bad turn, but then you can replay it the next turn and the next turn and the next turn. And so it's like,
Ulner Macaw.
yeah, you got to be careful. It's like, know your opponent and watch the Dirty Rats. And if you know, in that scenario, often it's like, well, I want to discover my Cthulhu and play it right away. Or in that scenario, like I got 4 Cthulhu's in my hand, and they played their Bullner Macaw, and it pulled 2 of them, but I still had 2. And so the next turn I just played both of them and still won. And but it's tricky. But 60 damage is typically enough to kill anybody. And so yeah, I see chat asking. I use the Christmas Malfurion because it's the newest thing. I was rocking the random card back because it was kind of fun. The coin.
I think sheep would be proud. I've got the Dame.
That's the right
Yay!
answer. Dame Hazelbark is definitely the right answer there. Yeah. Guff.
I used Dame Hazelbark, and to the surprise of absolutely no one.
Right. No. We can't do that. Guff is amazing.
Delightful.
Delightful. Guff is crazy. The card is great. If you're hesitating about crafting the card, I love it. I think it's
No. We can't do that.
Thank you, Hydra.
so good.
I got you.
Yeah, Guff is great. I think this is fun. I always enjoy seeing a new archetype. It's so rare in Wild. And so when I first saw this, I thought like, this is a meme. But my win rate, so I had 10x again this month. My win rate was 71%. I ended up, it was 12 wins, 5 losses.
Wow.
So
Nice.
I mean, and that
That's
mage,
phenomenal.
thank you. That mage loss was a total scam. I shouldn't have lost that, but and that includes some misplays. I mean, it takes a while to learn the deck. It's super fun. I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. It was something different to play. I don't think I'm fully explaining the ins and outs of the deck. I'm working on a write up that I'll throw on our Patreon if anyone is interested in checking out that. But gosh, it was so much fun to do something different. And then I saw, I don't remember if it was on one of the various tier lists, which again are all opinions, but someone listed this at tier 3, and I was like, hey, you know what? I hit Legend with the tier 3 deck with 71% win rate. Like,
I'm awesome.
And so I love, for me personally, like everyone out there complaining about Pirate Warrior and Odd Hunter, I was thrilled to see those matchups, because for me, those were like, hey, I have a fighting chance. Could I lose? Like, yeah, if Pirate Warrior draws all the 1-cost pirates and plays their Rokara on 5 and then the Juggernaut gives them a Mr. Smite, and I'll lose. Okay. But more often than not, it was like, I just clear, armor, and they would like rage concede. It was awesome. And the hunters as well. It was like the ones where I had to try really hard were Mage, of course, which is almost an instant loss, just because they can draw the combo so quickly, and depending on how fast they are, there's potential you can out armor them, but it's hard, and they're so fast. The other one that was really difficult, winnable but difficult, is the Shaman matchup, because of all the different battle cries, and we don't care about all the freeze stuff or whatever. We care about all the dirty rats, and that's what's tricky to play around.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're able to get rid of your Cthulhu somehow, like you just lose. And that's where I think Linecracker has the advantage. Like if you get 2,000 plus armor, like we don't even care. You can ignite me all day, and you're just not going to do it. But I felt like this was more fun. Maybe I'll move on to that next. But this has been an absolute blast. So, anyways, there's my brain dump on Cthulhu Druid. I had a lot of fun playing it. Probably we'll do a video at some point, but definitely a write up. I feel very comfortable doing a write up, and I'll throw that on the Patreon this weekend for anybody who is interested in checking that out. And if anyone wants to co-op or ask questions or whatever, Discord, hit us up in Discord. It's great. I'm always happy to do that. It's an absolute blast to play with people, and that's all free and fun and enjoyable. So yeah, if anyone wants to do that, there you go. I know, Hydra, you played a ton of this deck. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you nailed it. I did some co-op a little bit with Jordan, not this past weekend, but the weekend before as well. And that guy, he knows his stuff.
Oh, he's so good. He's so good. And big shout out again to Jordan, because I felt like going into this, like I could wing it, but I learned so much being taught by him. And I think that's what I'll say I enjoy the most about co-op is I'm not looking to play with someone who's just going to tell me what to do and get free wins. Like, I want to learn. And
yes,
you learn all the interactions, and you learn the different combos, and some of them are easy to spot, and some of them you'll miss if you don't know the deck very well. And he was able to teach me quite a bit. So, he's in chat. Go get out of here. Get out of here. He's terrible.
Hey, Jordan.
If I
You only want to say nice things when you don't hear.
If I knew he was here, I wouldn't have been so nice.
Yeah. Rats.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for the day. I had a good time with it. I came in at let's see here, 368 legend with 10x. So that was pretty good. I may make a push this month. I'm trying to do it in standard as well, and I'm currently at diamond 3 in standard. So we'll see if we get there, but I'm gonna try to push for ranks this month and see how that goes.
Nice.
Anyways, yeah. So on the other side of the coin here, we have Druid in a completely different light, and I am just gonna stop talking because I really can't pilot this deck at all.
Well, so Aggro Druid is in a bit of a weird place right now. It's you can definitely get up to, I think I pushed to Diamond 2 at one point earlier before kind of finishing it off on autopilot with Questline Warrior. Not because that deck is so easy, but it's better situated in the meta, and I've played a lot of that one too. But Aggro Druid is in a really kind of weird place, but really fun place. This is one of my most recent iterations of the deck. Was talking with Kinray earlier, and actually my most recent iteration takes out the Sow the Soils and throws in Capture Coldtooth Mine. So Capture Coldtooth Mine is a new card, and one that we haven't played in a whole lot of things, so I'll let you know what that is real quick. It's a 2 mana, choose one card. Choose one, draw your lowest card, or draw your highest card. So you're drawing one, period. Whether it's lowest, Embiggen, or highest, either Armor Up or Drekthar, depending on if or how many Embiggens you've played, which is just awesome. So, of course, it being Aggro Druid, Embiggen is a staple. You've got Embiggen. My version in particular that I've had a lot of success with, like I said, going up to about Diamond 2, plays only 1 and 2 drops. So there's actually a really good reason for that, right? If I get Drekthar in my opening hand, I don't want to toss Drekthar. I want to keep Drekthar because that's basically like Call to Arms. You want to play Call to Arms. Well, I also want to keep Embiggen. So if I have a 3-drop in my deck and I play Embiggen, then all of a sudden Drekthar is turned off and you just have a 4-mana 4/4 in your hand.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Learn that one by experience.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that. So I just capped it off at 2 because if I play an Embiggen, you have to play a second Embiggen in order to shut Drekthar off. You can hold your second one back for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know you've got Drekthar. Okay, that's a big enough swing turn, right? Especially if you played you played an Embiggen before you play Drekthar. Then all of a sudden your 4-mana 4/4 is putting a whole lot of stats on board, as well as spreading them across multiple minions, which you also really like. So Aggro Druid really wants to get on the board fast. It really wants to get on the board wide and either buff those up from cards in hand, like Mark of the Lotus or Power of the Wild. So get a big, wide board, make it bigger, and or play Embiggens to make your deck bigger in your deck, and then play things that either, like a Embiggen Pirate on 1. All of a sudden, you're pulling patches out of your deck. Embiggen into Drekthar. You're pulling multiple buffed up minions out of your deck. What's really kind of cool about Aggro Druid is that it can kind of sustain into the long game. If you've played 1 or even better 2 Embiggens, all of a sudden you go from an aggro deck to almost more of a mid-range deck. You draw a card, you play it. It has impact because these are all like small cards with most of them with battle cries or like Iron Deep Trog, which interacts or interferes with your opponent, things like that. I really want to at some point find a place for a Nerubar Weblord in here, but I'm not sure what I would cut for it. Earlier versions of this had that in it before, more recent cards came out. So different things to either interact with your opponent or make yourself have an even wider board. So you definitely want to get on board fast, get on board wide, and then of course buff up your board both in hand or both in deck, not in hand. This isn't hand buff. In deck and on board with, of course, the like I said, I've mostly cut Sow the Soil. So we've got, of course, the Power of the Wild. Of course, Arbor Up. Arbor Up is clutch.
Arbor Up is crazy. Yeah.
Mark of the Lotus. And where to go? Claw Fury Adept, which is a 2-mana 2/3. Give your board and your hero +1 attack. Just for that turn. It's basically like a mini roar. But if you've got a wide board, drop that, buddy. And if it's, it starts out as a 2-mana 2/3, but if you played an Embiggen or 2, then all of a sudden it's a 3-mana 4/5 or a 4-mana 4/5 or a 3-mana 6/7. All of a sudden it gets really big. Yeah, right. If I'm looking at anything to cut, I'd probably actually cut Adorable Infestation for the Nerubar Weblord, kind of looking at it there. But that's kind of Aggro Druid in a nutshell. It's really fun, and really, whenever you're not coming across one of the big 2, it typically feels pretty good, right? But into Odd Questline Hunter, you want to play onto board. Odd Questline Hunter wants you to play onto board. If you're playing against Questline Pirate Warrior, you want to play onto board. They're fine with you playing onto board because they can trade off into the early game. You want to go on the board and like build from it. They go onto board as well, and then are just able to get Rokara, and then the 2/2 pings. One of their questline completion stages does a 2/2 pings. It's just
so if you can't really get under them early, you feel like you're sort of lost at that point.
Right, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the way that the quest line for that works and the way that deck is built, that they do end up kind of interfering with you pretty well. So you don't really want to see either of those two, which is why it's not particularly well situated in the meta. But if either of those are impacted with possibly, some balance changes coming soon, then that may be kind of a sleeper for something really powerful in forthcoming not just expansions but metas or whatnot. So really fun deck. Nerubar Weblord may very well give us kind of an advantage over some of those other decks, so that could be a thing that innovation may help us as well. So really fun. I have a lot of fun with it when I'm winning or losing, and I think you probably will too, especially if you need Druid wins. This is a good way to do it because you'll either win or lose pretty quickly, and then you can move on, jam it again, either win or lose really quickly, jam it again, etc.
Yeah. The one piece I think where I see big differences, I mean, of course, we're talking two totally different decks tonight, right? An aggro one and more of a control deck, but like Aggro Druid, you're looking at 5-minute matches, maybe less, right? You're probably winning by turn 4, by turn 5. Arbor Up will win the game. and so win or lose, it's quick. What is really frustrating for me is like with the Cthulhu Druid, like you almost have to go to fatigue every game.
The mirror match.
The mirror match is terrible, and you're because they're so slow. Most of my games, like I'm sitting here looking at my HS replay stats over here, and it was like it's about 15 minutes per match. It was like about somewhere that seems about average, and so it takes a lot longer. And if I can, my win rate was high enough that I was okay with that. But if you play a 15-minute match and then you lose, it's like, that's terrible. But if I play a 4 or 5 minute match and I lose, like, okay, we'll move on to the next one. And so if timing is an issue, like, I don't know, it reminds me of the old like Odd Warrior days or, Control Warrior decks in general. It's like nothing like spending 30 minutes and then losing. So anyways.
So not this particular build, but with a 10x, I have hit legend on day 1 with Aggro Druid when it was tier 3, I think, on Tempo Storm for pretty much exactly that reason. And have had 11x before because of Aggro Druid as well. So it's a powerful archetype, and whenever it hits a really nice soft spot in the meta, then it is a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Absolutely.
Because those games are so quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, there's Druid decks for us. So we are a quick side note as we kind of transition into a little quick note about our Born to be Wild listener series. We are hosting a match tonight right after the show. And so for those of you hanging out with us live, stick around and we'll be hosting an awesome match tonight. Anyways.
Yeah. Excitement abounds. So for those of you who may not be familiar with our listener series, or who missed last season's series, the Born to be Wild listener series is a free Wild Hearthstone tournament series with custom deck building restrictions each week. The regular season lasts 5 weeks and is, of course, followed by 3 weeks of playoffs to determine the champion. Our champion from season 3 was Jordan MG, who is in chat and who is going to be playing right after the show here. So very exciting. The listener series season 4 started this week, so this is week 1. So I mentioned earlier that it features custom deck building restrictions each week, right? Well, this week's challenge is called Split, and it was submitted by Kay. So Split is the restrictions for Split are that the minions in your decks can only cost 4 or 6 mana. The spells in your deck can only cost 3 or 8 mana. And you can't run weapons, you can't run heroes, you can only run spells and minions, and they have to be, spells 3 or 8, minions 4 or 6. So really fun deck building challenge this go around. I had a lot of fun creating my decks this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you played already, right? Didn't you say yours? I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but yours went to 5 matches, right? So that's exciting as well. And
cool.
King Ogre did a fantastic job. It was an intense match. It was so much fun. So congratulations on your deck building, King Ogre. It was a great match. I did end up taking in the win. But like you said, 5-game match, like it doesn't get any closer than that. So really fun there for sure.
Absolutely.
Nate, did you play yet?
No. We'll be playing this weekend, and I agree. The deck building was really fun. I waited a lot later than I should have. I mean, I started building 3 hours before the submission deadline, but I had to. Because it's such a unique challenge, I had to keep looking back at the rules to make sure that I was following it.
Yes.
And then, I mean, something that maybe people aren't familiar with is we've got like a season-wide ban on Genenbaku because they're so polarizing. This season we added Ice Block, no Ice Block, and I goofed a couple people up this week. There was, what else did we ban?
The quest line.
and
the 2 big quest lines for sure.
Yeah.
So we also banned. Pull it up. Where'd it go? Here we go. Of course, the Demon Seed and Stealer of Souls.
Oh yeah, that's like auto ban
by default. And And so those are really it. Genbaku and then Ice Block, and the two big quest lines are kind of the only real additions this go around.
And we
cool.
need our 15
Oh yes, yes.
minion minimum
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, that makes more that makes things interesting, so that it can't be like an all spell deck and get around the rules. Like, but yeah, the deck building is super fun, and for those of you watching live, hang out afterwards. We'll be casting a match between our season 3 champion Jordan MG and actually our resident lore master Goliath the Dwarf are playing against each other. So that's super fun, and I'm excited just to watch. So it'll be great. For those of you listening to the audio version of this or watching later, we will record the match. We'll post it separately on YouTube. And so if y'all want to watch the replay, it's kind of fun because we've got graphics and we cast the match, and there's a bunch of info there, and should be fun to watch. Won't spoil anything in terms of plopping it up on YouTube. You'll just see the match, and so it'll be a blast. And yeah, this is week 1, and just the challenges this season are amazing. We have different ones each week. They're all crowdsourced, and that's half the fun, I think, as well. Or maybe crowdsourced is not the right idea, but it's their community sourced. And so between our Discord, and then there's a separate Discord for the listener series, having people submit suggestions, and we've been able to kind of go through and vet them, and it's been an absolute blast. And so this is definitely a labor of love, not just from us, but from the community as well. And so lots and lots of fun.
Absolutely. So for additional information, of course, for most things, Born to be Wild, check out our website, www.borntobewildhs.com. So moving on a little bit to our weekly listener challenge.
Yeah.
So last week's challenge was sheep, wolves, and hydras. My!
Oh my!
Challenge for the weekly challenge this go around is to get as many sheep, wolves, and hydras on the board, both sides count, at the same time as possible. Different variations, are what count for the different things there. And so the tiebreaker is raw stats. So
this was
we did,
harder. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say this was harder than I anticipated originally. We were talking about this. Oh, it's so great to be together. Hydras, sheeps, and wolves. So am I. And then I started goofing around with it, deck building just for fun, which I don't always do. And then I realized that like all the sheep are in mage. Your polymorph boar, polymorph, mass polymorph are all in mage, and your wolves are in druid, and there's some in shaman. There's a hydra, but it's in hunter, and there's a couple of neutrals, but not as much. And so this was a lot more difficult than I initially thought it was going to be. And so, anyways.
Yeah, so we did have one valiant champion who was able to create the largest board, most diverse board of sheep, wolves, and hydras. And that was our very own resident lore master, Goliath the Dwarf.
Goliath!
Yay! By the way,
Congratulations, Goliath.
Congrats. Someone asked me, hey, do exploding sheep count? And I was like, are you asking me if electric sheep count on this show?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Very yes.
Yes. It took a minute to talk about the wolf riders. That was but definitely this is great. Great work, Goliath. This is wonderful. So congrats, and yeah, you will be immortalized on our website Hall of Fame as soon as I find a little bit of time to make it. But soon TM.
And 2 more packs.
And 2 packs on us. So we'll reach out and 2 packs on us. Very happy to have people participating, playing, and this is a lot of fun. Dr. Bomb, I want you to do this next week. I want you to participate. I'm talking to you. Anyways, we are nearing the end of our show, but I have a druid challenge for everyone next week. It should be relatively easy to do, and what I'm looking for here is the competition aspect of it. We haven't had one of these in a long time where people are one-upping each other, and so I'm thirsting for that a little bit, if that's the right analogy. But anyways, what I'm looking for is how much armor can you gain from Druid? I suppose in one turn, but that, I mean, the nature of Druid is you stack armor over turns. But I'm looking for the most armor as a Druid. The end. I don't care how you do it. Line Cracker is the easiest way. What I'm wanting to see, line Cracker is the easy way, right? But what I want to see, like, I want to see 2,000. I want to see 3,000. I want to see 10,000 armor. Like, I want to see it keep going, like, up and up and up and up. And so,
yeah,
you know,
To the moon.
yeah, if you Line Cracker is the easy way to do it, right? And Earthen Scales, but can you surpass 5,000 armor? Can you surpass 6,000 armor? Like, go crazy. I'm sure there's ways. It's that's what I'm looking for. And so yeah, I'm curious to see what will happen, and I'm sure that we'll start getting some people showing. It'll come down to the wire. I'll have someone with 6,000 and someone come in with 6,001, and we'll see.
So, how do we participate in this, Nate?
Yes. Thank you. So you can participate. You've got to play matches. We don't want you necessarily to tank your rank by doing these. We are nicer than Hearthstone. You don't have to do your challenges in ranked. You can play the matches either in casual, or you can play them on ladder if you're feeling up to the challenge, but you cannot play them against a friend. You cannot play them against the innkeeper. There's a couple reasons for this. The innkeeper is just too easy, and playing against a friend, they may not be the same skill level. They may let you win. I've done it before where I was playing with somebody who was playing Lore Walker Cho. And so it's like, hey, if I want 20 copies of Earthen Scales, I'll just have my buddy over there play Lore Walker Cho, and it lets you, sort of cheat. And so we want to avoid that happening. It's neat, but it's not the spirit of the challenge. Anyways, yes, you can play casual, you can play on ladder, you can play not against a friend, not against the innkeeper. You need to take a screenshot, post it in our Discord under the weekly challenges channel. The winner will be announced on next week's show. You'll receive 2 packs of your choosing on us, and you will be immortalized in the Hall of Fame on the Born to Be Wild website. And yeah, that's it. The other thing I will recommend is sooner is better, so that, like, this is not eBay, okay? You don't wait until 30 seconds before the show to post your screenshot, and then no one has time to beat you. Like, the earlier you submit these, the better. And then whoever at the end of the week, the cutoff time essentially is when the show starts next week. Whoever's got the winning submission, that's it. So. Yes, exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of crazy things you guys can come up with, and seeing, hey, if somebody can get over 10K, then I will truly be impressed. So, yes. Anyways,
That bar for impressing Nathaniel Wolf has been set. Can you dig it?
I'm old and jaded. It takes a lot these days to impress me. And I may participate as well and see what I can come up with. Maybe give y'all a run for your money. So,
Is it weird I got that Shania Twain "That Don't Impress Me Much" song stuck in my head there?
no, that's perfect. I wish I could sing it, but
Next parody song, Nate Wolf, "That Don't Impress Me Much."
Hey, it could be parody song. I like it. Yes, yeah.
That don't impress a Nate much.
Oh, so good.
So he's got 10,000 armor.
Glorious.
I love it. All right, everybody.
So he's got a golden Leroy.
Speaking of Leroy Jenkins, we're looking at next week's listener series challenge and looking at cards that had two keywords, and I realized that Leroy Jenkins is legal as it has both charge and battle cry on it. So,
Little handy hint there.
Okay.
For any deck builders in watching.
Anyways, hey, that about wraps it up for this week's show. As we were saying earlier, we are gonna continue to be here for a while casting a match, and so hope y'all stick around, and for those of you listening or watching after the fact, thank you all for hanging out with us. It'll be a great show next week. Hope everyone can come back. We will be discussing the announced balance changes and what that means for Wild, so it'll be exciting. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Yes, please join us next week on another new episode of Born to be Wild.
Excitement abounds.
Bye!
Hello.